welcome back to the Think and Nick podcast. Today we have a really interesting guest on, and he's got a really relevant topic to talk about, especially for me and other content creators. He's a 20-year-old entrepreneur and founder of JCB Media. He has a big passion for entrepreneurship and professional development, quite like us here on the Think and Nick podcast. He does short form content for podcasts to grow their audience and engage their already existing audience, all organically. So this is not paid. Since he was little, he always knew that he wanted to be in the business world when he grew up, but he was always afraid to venture out on the path of entrepreneurship until recently. He started his journey with JCB 1 year ago when he was in high school, and now he's graduated. So he's only just recently graduated a year ago. So Jacob, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
It's an absolute pleasure. So I just want to tell the audience basically how this came about. I just randomly received an email from Jacob about 2 or 3 weeks ago asking me if I wanted to partake in a survey or a questionnaire. And I said, yeah, sure. And I said, can you tell me a bit more? And basically the survey was about podcasts such as mine, who are based on either entrepreneurship and professional development, and filled out the survey, and Jacob sent me back the results, and the results were actually pretty cool to look at, to see, you know, that there's other people out there who are struggling with the same things with regards to putting out content and maintaining audience engagement and a whole range of things. So Jacob, before we get started with our topic for today, do you just want to talk about sort of what the questionnaire was for and what the purpose was for you?
Well, the questionnaire was for not only to reveal to other podcasters that they're not alone in their struggles, because I kind of already knew that already. I just didn't know exactly like what these struggles were. So I put up this survey. For me, it was to get information and, you know, see where do people that I want to work with struggle, where do they find no need for help, and yeah, just, you know, stuff like that. So just to see, you know, how it's going, basically.
Okay, epic. Yeah, and the insights were really good. I mean, I got some nuggets there. And like I said before, it's great to know that there's other people on the same journey and you're not the only one suffering with the problems, because sometimes you can actually lose motivation because you think, oh, it's so hard to get this stuff out there, but there's a lot of other people who are actually battling and grappling with the same sort of thing. So let's dive into the topic today. The topic for today, for all the listeners, is basically all focused on short form content. And that's what Jacob's business does. So if anyone is listening right now and you are thinking about putting out content, you're a content creator, you have a podcast, you have a business, short form content, from what I've learned in 2023, is definitely the way to go. It is the future of marketing. So let's start off real simple, Jacob. And can you just tell us, what is short form content for the listeners?
So it's a under a minute video, short video. You've probably seen them as TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. It includes subtitles almost every time, and then it also includes B-roll, stock footage, just all these things to keep the viewer engaged. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Could you maybe elaborate and tell us what is B-roll for the people who don't know?
So B-roll is basically the animation stuff that you put over the videos.
Okay. And why do you think short form content has become so popular over the past few years?
It is definitely because the declining attention span amongst people. Back in the days, people could be hooked for 5 minutes. Now with the attention span that we have, it's hard to get people hooked for even 10 seconds. So yeah, that is why it's really essential to get in on the short format content wave, because we all know that, you know, attention is kind of like the new oil, and with the declining attention span, it's just about finding ways and techniques to, you know, catch the viewer.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually experienced on my Instagram channel, like, the engagement's completely dropped because I'm still posting only photos basically, or like captions, quotes and stuff like that, but they're just not getting the engagement that they should be. However, when you take all that content that you make, visual content, not video now, but visual content, and then you make it into like a reel, so add a soundtrack or something to it, it does get a little bit more engagement. But I find that when you are actually the focus and you add your subtitles and your B-roll and you make a proper video, I find that those shorts definitely are the best for engagement. So
Exactly.
yeah, for sure. So what is basically the goal? Like, what is the aim of short form content?
So the aim is to, first of all, get people hooked. Then you will have an explanation without giving, away the answer to the hook right away. So we want to keep that until the end. And then at the end, have a call to action. So that could, for example, be go follow me on all socials, watch the full podcast at this link in the description. So it could be whatever it is. Or if you want more information, check out my book, whatever.
Okay, I see. So it's basically getting that person to do whatever it is that you putting the
Exactly.
content out for.
It's kind of like nudging them in a certain direction.
Yeah. And you can tell me if this is true, but I've heard that people are only one click away from doing something. So for example, if you share something on Instagram or Facebook or something, and they have to click more than once to get there. For example, if I was promoting this podcast and they had to click onto another link that took them to another link that took them to my website, and then they found the podcast on the website, the conversion rate would pretty much be zero because they've had to work so hard to get there. Not
Exactly.
really work that hard. I mean, it's 4 clicks, but because of, like you said, the engagement. So is that true?
Yeah, that is actually quite true because, as again, the attention span is so low that people don't want to, they want to do as little work as possible, as minimal of work as possible to get where they want to be or what they want to see. So it's just about making it as short and concise as possible, and really, pushing there's no work in it to, get here.
Okay. And if I was to give you, say, a full recording of a podcast, I was one of your clients, and I said, can you turn this into some short form content that we can use for marketing? How do you even go about doing that? And is there a structure to the short form content? For example, like I'm familiar with, in most videos, you need a hook. So you need something that catches the attention of the people. And then is there like a structure that follows that? And how do you create that?
There definitely is. So what we do is that we pick highlights that we think would convert well. In terms of podcasts, in terms of a hook, it would usually be a question, a controversial topic, that just get presented at the start of the short format content video. So yeah, and then from there on, if you have a guest or if you talk about it yourself, we add that, and then we have a call to action, and that could often actually that is maybe a picture of the podcast, a logo. It could also be that the podcast host had recorded a video of himself or herself saying, if you like this content, go to the link in the description. So a call to action pre-made. So yeah.
Okay, great. And since you've only been in business for about 1 year, what are the key sort of skills or techniques that you've had to learn that are essential to creating good short form content?
Well, first of all, consistency in the field. I think that's a way that you get pretty good expertise in any field. But yeah, also just really large amount of research, mentors that do the same as I do, but on a higher level, obviously. And obviously trying to leverage AI also to, get information from that. So yeah, it's just about information gathering and keep on improving, keep on adapting to see, what works and what don't works. Also a lot about A/B testing, so split testing.
Okay, let's dive into both of those. I picked up on two things that you said there. One was the use of AI, obviously with Chat GPT and all this stuff blowing up now. Like people who were not exposed to it before, like myself, are now using it and exposed to it. And I also want to touch on A/B split testing, but let's just focus on AI for now. How do you integrate AI, or how do you use it to develop short form content?
Well, there are actually some tools that help you edit videos so you can make them at a much faster rate, which obviously everyone want to, have the same amount of value given in a shorter time span. So yeah, that is pretty much so that there are some tools that we use that are really helpful for that. And
Okay, so do you mind sharing the name of those tools that you use? Is it like a paid tool or?
yeah, so it's a paid tool for Adobe software editing software, and it is called, I believe it's ProPod or no Autopod.
Autopod. Okay, cool. So for
Autopod.
anyone looking
So
to, okay, and is it easy to use? Is it pretty user
yeah,
friendly?
pretty easy, pretty easy. So it's a paid subscription, but essentially you just upload the full podcast video and then it will pick highlights for you. It will even edit a bit, obviously, not in top quality, but it is actually quite good.
Wow, that's good to know for me because I've spent hours and hours, thousands of hours probably
Yeah.
editing podcasts, making shorts, making content, and not having any real knowledge of it all, to be honest. I just putting out stuff that I thought would work, but I know that there's like, there's also like algorithms and things that you need to take into account on different platforms. So what platforms are you familiar with when it comes to short form content?
So those are mainly the meta platforms. So that's Instagram and Facebook, then also TikTok and YouTube, because that is the platforms that we mainly post short format content. Obviously, you could post it on LinkedIn, even Snapchat. But yeah, those four are the main platforms that we post on.
Okay, and do you repurpose content? For example, if you make a video for Instagram, can you use it across all four platforms? The reason why I'm asking this is because each platform has a different algorithm. So different content works for different platforms. So in your experience, do you use them across all four, or do you have to take into account different factors across the different platforms?
Well, what's actually pretty incredible, I think, in terms of algorithms and short format content is that all platforms, like all social platforms as well as YouTube, are pushing short format content. So it doesn't matter. As long as it's short format content, it's being pushed. So that's pretty crazy. And mainly because the main reason that the platforms push this type of content is because of TikTok. So TikTok blew up like crazy, as you may know, and the other platforms noticed this, and therefore they had to take action. And the way they could take action and compete is by pushing this type of content. So it is being pushed like crazy. And the thing that we do to, kind of fit the algorithm a bit more, because obviously there are small differences, that is just by using different hashtags and caption.
Okay, so that's actually kind of touching on the next question that I wanted to ask you, which is if I if I want a video to go viral, like I want, it to go really viral, what are the steps there? Like what are the things that people are doing that are making videos go viral? Are they doing research before to then create content for viral content? Or are they just creating content in their niche and then you guys work with the content to make it go viral, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of both. Obviously, it needs great editing that dramatically increases the chance of something going viral, but also jumping on trends. So there are different websites where you can see like hashtags trending, for example, on TikTok, and then, getting our client to, maybe you could talk about this in your next podcast with whatever. So we can jump at that trend because that obviously, since it's a trend, also dramatically increase the chance of their video going viral. But essentially, usually the videos that are going viral is because of the content, like the stuff that is being talked about. So that could, for example, be something, a really big controversial topic, a kind of unique perspective on a trending topic. So again, it all comes down to, the trending and what is being talked about. But yeah, the content and what is being talked about is really essential as well. It could also be like a story, a really intriguing story, interesting story that is being talked about, or yeah. So
Okay, so and how important is storytelling in the production of short form content? Do you know what I mean? So like I find that, well, this is from what I've heard and learned from other people, is that you need to almost tell a story. So you need to take the viewer or listener on a journey. But with short form content, it's like a minute, right? So it's not as long as like a podcast, for example. So is that the same sort of approach you have to take? Do you take them on a journey, or do you just plug a whole bunch of stuff together? Like, how does it work in that regard?
Well, it is a journey. So it's a journey from the hook, and then you explain, and that is where the kind of storytelling comes in about the hook, and then there is a call to action. So it's basically just short storytelling. So yeah, it works kind of that way as well. Yeah.
Okay, and do you mind sharing some of those for the listeners, those tools that you can find the trends? Are there any free tools or any tools? What are the tools that you can use to find trends so that if our listeners want to, produce short form content after this podcast, they'll know, kind of have like a basic idea of exactly what to do and where to look?
Yeah, you can use something called for finding TikTok trends. We usually go on there on ads.tiktok.com. So that is like the place where you also can make paid ads for TikTok. And then, for example, you can go into trends. Then we usually pick hashtags. So these are like things that are being talked about right now. In terms of Islam, and the Ramadan Eid is being talked about at the moment quite a lot. So obviously not a thing that many podcasters would be able to go into. But yeah, the idea is basically just finding hashtags, trending hashtags, getting our clients on the wave as quick as possible, and then uploading a short form video about that trend.
And then, Jacob, before I let you go, I've got a couple more questions for you. And the first one is, because of the nature of change and innovation and technology, I mean, it's an AI, like it's changing at such a rapid rate. Where do you see the future of short form content? Where do you see this sort of industry going?
Well, I believe personally that it's gonna overtake paid ads, because a paid ad is not gonna hook any people unless there is actually short format content in the paid ad, because good copywriting is just kind of at a decline because of the attention span, as we talked about. So yeah, short format content is the new marketing strategy that people really should get going with.
What advice would you give to people, organizations, startups such as myself, podcasters, anyone looking to market their content? Based on your experience and your year in this industry, what advice would you give to those people with regards to short form content?
Just get started. Your short form videos in the start are probably going to be quite bad, but you learn as you go, and it's better to just post and having some engaging content than trying to be perfect with it on the first post. Obviously you can get experts like us to help you to shorten that learning experience, or you may call it. But yeah, if you want to do it yourself, you should definitely just keep up with it and keep posting consistently, because if you keep posting consistently, that is also something that the algorithms would notice, and therefore also a bigger chance of getting more views and more clicks.
Okay. So I've noticed you've touched on consistency a few times throughout this podcast. Why is consistency so important, and how often should you be posting for consistency?
Well, you can post how many you like. Obviously, the more content, the more views. So it's pretty much just a volume game. Obviously, if the videos are high quality, that drastically improves the click rate and the views that you get. But essentially, it could be, for example, it's just about having a posting schedule. So you could post maybe once a week. The algorithm would notice that as long as it's consistent. It could be every 3 days, every 2 days, every day, two every day, three every day, four every day. So it's just how many that you're able to, spit out.
Fantastic. Well, Jacob, thank you very much for all that insight. I've learned heaps about short form content, and I mean, now I can take some of that stuff and apply it to my own content. And I also want to say a big thank you for getting up early, because I know it's early there in Denmark. It's 12 o'clock here in Vietnam. So thank you very much for your insights, your time, and we really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the invitation.
No worries. Have a great day. Cheers.
All right, have a great day. Cheers.
For more news and content about Think and Nick, go to www.thinkandnick.com or visit our Facebook or Instagram pages @thinkandnick.